Well, we went from no basketball to all of the basketball in a matter of a week. Conference play on Saturdays is back with a vengeance, and oh my goodness, did we have some games. AJ DeBonza just getting whooped on in a win against Kansas State. He must have said something to the rest. We'll get into that. Darren Peterson returned until he didn't. Arkansas versus Tennessee, Alabama versus Kentucky. We're going to start, obviously, with Illinois, Penn State. Welcome to the night shift. Let's party. Welcome to the night shift. I'm Tyler Metcalf, hanging out with Stephen Gillespie on this beautiful Saturday evening. And we had a whole bunch of basketball to cover today. Stephen, how are we doing?
I'm doing great. I want to start with Dirty Dancer, the OG in all of the draft Twitter space. He says there's too many prospects. Good things there are a dozen of you. Yeah, I could not agree more, Dirty Dancer, and the rest of y'all out there. Metcalf and I were just talking about. I want to kind of lead with this, Metcalf, if it's okay with you. This is the first time in I don't know how many years. I would love for someone to do some research on this because I'm just too lazy. This is the first time, and I don't know how long that in one Saturday we get to watch all the top prospects in one day. If you think about it, like the G League Ignite, Europe,
Yeah,
like overseas play,
dead.
all of
Not
that
really,
stuff.
but
Yeah, kind of. I mean, it's not the same.
close.
But this is the first time, and I don't know how many years, Metcalf, that we get to sit down and watch all these guys play on one day, and it's fun. But man, it's a lot of work. I mean, my butt is sore from sitting down and watching hours and hours and hours of basketball.
Just no one has it harder than podcasters and bloggers, dude. It's just a brutal, it's a brutal
Maybe our
life.
significant others, maybe them,
Or
but
they
yeah,
get a break from us. So
it's a win-win, as
it
we like to say.
depends how you look at it. All right, we got a chock full episode, a lot to get into. So we're just going to start right off with the game that just ended. We won't spend a ton of time on this because it wasn't the highest stakes game, but Illinois, Penn State, Illinois, big time favorite, kind of controlled this entire game from start to finish. It was a little sloppy, little ugly. Where do you want to start with this one?
I mean, let's start with Keaton Wagler
Yeah,
because he's obviously the main draw in a matchup like this, and it was disappointing that there were so many ticky-tack fouls called on him whenever there were fist fights for rebounds and stuff like that, and here he is, like, at the top of the key competing for a loose ball, and he's getting, his 4th foul in the second half. That sucked, but
yeah,
we got to see everything that we wanted to see from him whenever he was in the game. He finished with 16 points on 4 of 9 shooting. He contributed with some assists. He contributed with some rebounds. Even though he didn't force a defensive event, I was really impressed with his rotations. And the thing that I want to kind of kick over to you, Metcalf, is that it feels like he's getting more and more comfortable over each game. And that might seem like a no brainer thing to say because that's
right.
typically what happens. But not for freshmen all the time, not for freshmen who weren't supposed to be in the position that Keaton Wagler is in. And when he's in the game, I'm so impressed with his poise and his composure. But even though he's one of these more sleight of frame guys, he's able to poke and prod. He's able to get into the paint. And he's not one of these guys that's feeling like this newfound popularity, fame, notoriety. He's not one of these dudes who's feeling himself so much to where he's kind of forcing things to go kind of his way. He plays the game the right way, and I've just been so impressed how much he's been able to grow game over game and not let it get to his head.
Yeah, because it'd be very easy to be like, all right, I'm the guy, my turn to run the show.
Right.
But as we've mentioned a lot, he only had 2 power conference offers coming out of high school, Illinois, Minnesota, and he just keeps doing the right things. He's playing the right way, playing within the team concepts, not getting too eager, not playing outside of himself as a player, not forcing the issue. And it's a testament to his personality, his versatility, and just the way that he approaches the game. So I tonight only played 20 minutes, got in foul trouble. ended up with 16 points, 4 of 9 shooting, 1 of 5 from 3, 7 of 8 from the line. You'd love to see that. 3 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 turnovers, no stocks. Um, but what constantly keeps really standing out, like you mentioned, is just his comfort level and composure on the ball, and the way that he's able to split pick and rolls. He's not the most explosive athlete, but he's really good with that quick first step, that like explosion of going slow to fast in really short areas that gives him just enough of an advantage where he's then able to hold off defenders. Or like one of his my favorite moves of his is that where he's on the perimeter, goes into that hang dribble step back, and he just does such a good job of lulling the defender to sleep. It's Trey Man at Florida esque. It's SGA esque. Not saying he's SGA, but that
I will. He's SGA. He's the next SGA. You
but
can
the,
quote me here.
that type of methodical and like short area burst is kind of similar in how they get into those shots, how they create the space while not being the most explosive athlete on the court. So I just really enjoy that he keeps finding new ways to take more of the offensive role while also not forcing it and overdoing it.
Yeah, and I mean, if you look at the senior on this team who had to step up due to his foul trouble, but Kylan Boswell, again, game over game, more deferential. When he gets the ball passed to him on an inbound play instead of Keaton, when he crosses half court, he's Keaton, set us up. I'm going to
Mhm.
run off some screens. You're going to initiate. And that's the thing that I like the most is that it's not that he's producing, but it's the role that the team and that the coaching staff are putting him into. He's getting more and more of the offense. It's like a young quarterback almost,
Yeah.
to start a college football season where you kind of unlock more of the playbook once you see that they can handle more. You're getting to see kind of that same thing with Keaton. And again, sleight of frame dude, not a guy who not the body type that I'm typically keen on in terms of NBA projection, but it doesn't affect him. He's
Yeah.
not one of these guys who he's just going to stand on the perimeter, make those connective passes along the wing. He's going to poke and prod. He understands the gravity that he can attract whenever he's attacking the basket, and he knows how to make good reads. He's playing on a senior laden team. Even the other freshman and David Mirkovic, like this is a European pro. Keaton is really the only unproven commodity on
Yeah.
this team, and he's going out. He's earned the trust of the rest of that team, and he sets them up. He just looks phenomenal, man. I want to ask you this because today being Saturday, if you're listening and watching us live, today we had to turn in our big boards, and I tinkered a lot throughout the day with my big board as I'm
Same.
watching these players. I ended up moving Keaton up to 14, and I
Okay.
loved him early on in the season, but I was also one of these people that were like, hey, wait, like, let's see. There's this like off happening on the internet. Let's kind of see. Since I last said that, he's had 2 double doubles in terms of assists and scoring. So it's like, okay, I guess because everyone needs my permission, Metcalf. Now we can start ranking him in the lottery
Oh, I
top
should
10.
see. I should have texted you
See,
earlier. Now I can
you
move them
should
up.
have.
Yes.
Move him up. You have my permission. But yeah, I slid him up into my lottery because I'm like, I just like him too much,
Yeah.
man. He's just so talented.
Yeah, and I have them up to 17 right now in a tier that like goes up to 11. In the same tier as Miraz Johnson, who the chat is going off about. We'll get to him later, I promise.
Yeah.
But yeah, and Wagler just keeps playing the right way, producing good numbers, and is a major contributor to winning. Um, David Mirkovic, you mentioned 13 points, 4 of 8 from the field, 10 rebounds, 3 assists. I thought his passing was really nice.
Yeah.
Rebounding, Illinois was just dominant on the boards in this game, plus 11 rebounding advantage. Some good cutting out of him. The only other kind of Illinois guy that I thought was impressive was Big Z with
Mhm.
5 blocks on the night. I thought his rim protection looked really, really solid. Obviously, the blocks are great, but also deterred a lot of shots when guys got down there. And then Caden Mingo on Penn State, long-term guy, not a this year guy, but I love the way that dude plays. And if Penn State's able to keep him around and lure his brother, who's one of the top incoming freshmen next year, Penn State
Mhm.
could be kind of sneaky, very fun next year.
Penn State, they were in this game a lot closer than I thought they were going to be. A lot of that probably had to do with the foul situation for Keaton Wagler, but at the end of the day, like you got to play the game the way it unfolds. And Penn State hung around this game a lot more to your point on Mirkovic, I tweeted out, I was so impressed with the passing off of movement that he had. Even those that didn't necessarily equal assists, it went within the flow of the offense. And the fact that he's been able to do more finesse type things as opposed to kind of being like a garbage disposal or cheese grater, like some sort of kitchen utensil that takes chunks out of the food that you have in the kitchen, right? Like that's what he reminds me of for the most part. But seeing him be more finesse, he had a transition play where he's really kind of fond of that Euro step, and
Yeah.
he does it so well, like going to his left hand. I just loved the way that he played tonight. And to your point on Caden Mingo, the shot's not there. You want to see him display more touch, but he has such innate feel for the game,
Yeah.
and like being able to orchestrate an offense at such a young age, like that's going to be something that is obviously going to be attractive to NBA teams. We want to see that touch kind of increase. He might be one of these 4 year guards that takes him a little bit year over year, add something new to his game, but he's strong and he's smart, and that's going to help him a lot in the early part of his college playing career.
All right, let's move on. Alabama, Kentucky. Alabama wins
Yeah.
89-274. What caught your eye?
A lot. There's so many things that I feel like we could go. I want to go kind of selfishly. I like Amari Allen a lot. I
Love
want
him.
to get your thoughts about Amari. He's the guy that I have in my top 20. I want to have him up in the lottery range
Ooh,
too, just because he's big, he's got such good feel, he can shoot, he rebounds. He's like the leading rebounder at Alabama. And if you think about who else is on that team, that says a lot, and rebounding translates. So you got a guy who's big, who's strong, who has feel, he can shoot. That's a lot of things that NBA
yeah.
teams want in a freshman player. I would like to see more consistent defense, but he's not a turnstile or a revolving door on that end. I think that he's got some stuff to his game. What do you think overall of Amari Allen?
He's someone I'm being obnoxiously patient with. Like he's up
Sure.
to like he's in my top 60 for sure. Where did I move him up to?
59.
42. So like early second round. Um, the shot I like, the feel I like. He's just really smart, really composed, and just one of those Swiss Army knife type of players out there where
All
he
the
can just
things you
do
want
a
your
little bit of
42nd best
everything.
player on your board. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, just imagine what the top 41 look like. But like I think where I'm still a little hesitant is what does the defensive consistency continue to look like?
Mhm.
And kind of struggling with the athleticism. Not that he's a bad athlete, but there doesn't seem to be that next level, that extra burst, that extra
Mm.
sense of physicality. A lot of it feels really bully ball kind of dependent, if that makes sense. But he's not a bully ball player necessarily. He's trying to play that way, but he's not quite bigger or strong enough yet, and
It's
he's
like
not quite
length
explosive
ball.
enough. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just a little clunky with how he gets to the rim and how he creates on the ball. The spot up jumper looks great. The passing reads, the passing IQ look really good. But from a scoring standpoint, outside of just like the wide open spot up jumpers, I'm still a little hesitant on just what does an easy bucket for him look like?
Okay. I think the 3-point shot is gonna be the thing at
Yeah.
the next level he's gonna live on, and I think that at what's he listed at, like, 6'8", 6'9"? He's huge, man, like, he's a tall cat. I think the floor spacing ability that he has, and the fact that you can run pick and rolls with him as, like, the
Yeah.
initiator, I think that that's huge, and I love that a lot. I have him, like I said, top 20, understanding that the defense probably isn't where I want it to be for him to be a pro, but I just think that in my opinion, we have these guys year over year where it's like, okay, in conference play week over week, what's he look like? What are the building blocks look like week over week? I think he's going to be the most interesting guy in the month of January to monitor in terms of, kind of draft evaluation projections, and production even too. So, and you could even make the argument if you want to see a little bit more, in my opinion, Metcalf, it's like how important is he to his own team right now when
Yeah.
you got guys like LeBaron Philon, Right Cell, Aiden Sherrill, who's like turned into one of the craziest shot blockers in college basketball this season. Like maybe you can kind of think, okay, he's like the third or fourth option on this team right now. So that allows him to do more of what we're seeing and throw in Aiden Holloway into that conversation as well.
It's something that we're starting to see a little bit more recently too, because on the season his usage is only 18.6, which is super low. And you look at just the rest of his numbers, they're all good. Like
Yeah.
assist rate, fine. Turnover rate, fine. 3-point percentage, fine. 38% on solid volume, 7.5 attempts per 100. It's all just fine. None of it is like outlier. Oh my God, that's great. So as that, I expect that usage to steadily pick up because from a wing creator standpoint or a wing facilitator standpoint, he's sort of the only one on that team.
Yeah.
Aiden Holloway, LeBaron Philon, they take on the bulk of it. Houston Millett is just a spot up shooter at this point,
He was
basically.
awesome tonight. He
uh,
was phenomenal.
London Jemison hasn't been anywhere near what I hoped for at the start of the year, and they don't have a ton of bigs, so they really rely on him to crash the boards and be disruptive on both ends of the floor in those areas. So I expect as we continue to get deeper into conference play and the defensive intensity and pressure on guys like Philon and Holloway ramp up, that's going to create more opportunities for him on that second side, with probably some inverted pick and roll type stuff to diversify and elevate his creation responsibilities. And from there, it'll be really, really fascinating to see what the numbers look like just a month from now.
Let me ask you this, because there's a lot of depth in this class. There's a lot of we were talking about this in the group chat earlier. It feels like we haven't learned anything hardly at this point because everybody has just been good this year, and watching them play in non-conference with the depth of you and Rucker talked about this. With the depth of guards in this class, do you think that NBA teams are going to be like, I wanna get this dude? How many 6'8" guys who show dribble, pass, shoot potential with the rebounding that we're seeing from Amari Allen? Like, how many teams are gonna be hearing or talking to the agent, right, and saying, "Hey, look, like, you are the only guy at your size that can do the thing that you can do outside of the top 5. Come out and you will be drafted lottery because you're young, you're skilled, and your projection and your potential is like some of the best within this class." Like, could you see that kind of happening this year? Because I think it's going to be lottery or bust in terms of whether or not we see Amari Allen come out based off of this. Obviously, there's months and months of basketball left.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's definitely some positional scarcity playing to his advantage right now. After you get outside that top 6, 7 guys, depending on whatever order you have them in, when we just look at wings, not necessarily even on ball creator wings or facilitating wings, just wings,
Sure.
and we get into guys like Braylon Mullins, Thomas Hauk, if you want to classify him as that, Yaxel Lundenberg, if you want to classify him as that. And I think those guys lean a little more towards forwards. Neo Avdalas, Cam Carr, I think, is more of a bucket getting wing rather than a facilitator. Nate Ament, not really. It gets really, really thin, really,
Right.
really fast. The big class is rapidly improving. The guard class looks incredible and has from start to finish, but the wings in
Mhm.
this class, it's not great. And the NBA tells us every single year how much they value those type of guys. So if he goes to the combine, if he tests really well, it wouldn't totally shock me if he ends up being like, "Thanks, Alabama, but good luck."
Well, we're talking about the wing depth in this class. Something that I was noticing, and I'm probably going to be talking about on tomorrow's show with Jam when we do our mock draft, is like, look at the NBA. The best players in the NBA right now are bigs and guards right
Mhm.
now. Like, we're in a weird spot in the NBA where like all of our heroes of old are getting older, and they're either going to be retiring soon or within a couple years. I mean, Giannis is over 30. Yeah, Jalen Brown, he's around 30 years old. The wing playmakers, I think that smart teams are going to be looking at wings from a draft perspective as like the next wave of faces of the NBA, and we're seeing it with Con Knipple and Cooper Flagg and Cedric Coward. Like some of the most impactful players within the rookie class are of that like wing forward size because there's such a need for that in the NBA right now. I think that teams could get even more hungry and look at a guy like Amari Allen and say, okay, you're probably not going to be like a star face of the league, but we really need an infusion of this type of player to kind of have that next advantage positionally in the NBA.
All right. Anyone else on Alabama catch your eye? Aiden Holloway had a big shooting game. I've never really gotten NBA vibes from him. I thought Philon was just okay.
Yeah, I think that, LeBaron Philon, I've seen his name in the group chat, like, as we've been talking, comparing him to guys like right now of Michael Brown, Darius Acuff, who we're going to be talking about here in a little bit. I kind of feel like he's in that like next tier down. And I loved hearing your discussion with Rucker about Philon. Something that I've noticed too is like the playmaking, the numbers are great, but when you turn on the film, it's nothing advanced.
Yeah,
It's
it's
not,
just kind of basic,
yeah,
which is
it's
fine. But
basic. Exactly. Like if you're playing off of a big initiator, he does the things that you would need to do as like a floor spacing guard, even though he didn't shoot at all from deep really today. He was
yeah,
0 of 6. Historically speak, like from freshman season to today's date, he has improved a lot as a 3-point shooter, and he's a pesky like rebounder and defender at his position too. I just think that he's kind of like a step behind the premier guards in this class.
agreed. Mid to late first round, super excited to
Sure.
get him, but there's like that cluster of guys ahead of him for me at least. On the Kentucky side, just weird game. I
Mhm.
thought Malachi Marino had some good flashes, but nothing sustained. Otega Owe looked exactly like Otega Owe always does. And then I think we might differ here a little bit, but I thought Jane Quaintance was kind of rough today.
I think that if this was his first game, I would still be encouraged, but, when he had his first game, what
Yeah,
was it, last week,
yeah,
um,
against St. John's. Yeah,
against St. John's, that looked incredible, so we kind of seen a little, like, up, and then now we're in, like, the down part. Played 24 minutes, 5 points on 2 of 4 shooting, 6 boards, 1 steal, and 1 assist. I think it's encouraging to see him move the way that he is on
yes,
the floor. I think that maybe we kind of, like, overstated his return, like, him and Jalen Lowe. Lowe had a
he was
solid
good
game
today.
tonight. He was really, really good, but I think that both of these guys, returning was like, the fortunes of Kentucky are better now, and then their first conference plays against one of the best, like, approximations of NBA play that you'll see in college basketball against Alabama, so I think weighted against the team that they play against, like, this was an okay performance. It was encouraging to see him step out and defend on the perimeter and shut down a couple of, like, drives from some guards and stuff like that. I think it was a fine game. I'm not gonna sit here and sell you a bill of goods that it was an awesome performance for him, but I don't think it was poor either. I just think that okay, however you felt about him coming in this game, you probably still feel the same way. I have him 5th on my board just because I understand that he's working himself back from injury. The twitch and the motor is
Yep.
still there. There's still areas of concern in terms of like shooting, touch, and things like that. He was 1 of 4 from the free throw line. So, again, any dreams that you ever have of him shooting or simply just that, they're dreams. But I think that the rebounding and the defense was there, and you still can see the strength that he has to be an interior finisher. I have him 5th. I can be talked down a little bit further, but again, it's like, do I want to have 8 guards in my top 10? I don't know, you know?
Yeah, it's always gross on your board when it's like center, 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 or point guard, point guard, point guard, point. It's like, no, it
We
just
don't got to worry
aesthetically,
about center,
it's wrong.
center, center in this class, like at all.
um, and I'm not saying that I dropped Quains, out of my lottery, or I didn't even move him. Like he's at 7, and yeah, he's been back for a week. But what stood out to me was like one, he looked kind of exhausted. I thought
Yeah.
he looked really winded, which isn't shocking given the pace that Alabama tends to play at, and it's his 3rd game back. So while most of these guys are in mid-season form, he's not. But I thought it was pretty glaring how undisciplined the defensive fundamentals and stuff were. He had a couple closeouts that were really, really sloppy. He was really high in his stance on defense. And for most centers, that's understandable, but he's not most centers on defense. And that's like the exact opposite of what we saw from him against St. John. So it's just like, okay, didn't love it. Not putting a red flag or anything on it, just like need more from him.
He's like
Um,
an offensive tackle in the NFL
yeah,
draft where it's like, man, he's 6'8", he's got super long arms, and he runs like a 4.8 40. Like, this is a dream kind of toolsy,
yeah,
traitsy tackle. I think that you can kind of make that same kind of comparison with Quaintance, where it's like his there was, I forget who it was, but his closing speed on a layup that I
yeah.
watched in this game, I was like, that's scary. Like, how could you see someone that big run at you that fast and be like, yeah, I'm still gonna try to get this layup off, brother? You know, like his closing speed is terrifying to watch.
Okay, let's jump over to Arkansas versus Tennessee.
Wood pig.
Your Razorbacks took down Tennessee 86-75. Floor is yours.
Yeah, Whoopig Suey. This is everything that I would have dreamed of in a game. In all seriousness, like taking the fan cap off and putting the evaluator cap on. We talked the last night shift that we did, Metcalf, about the kind of ball of yarn that the top of the guard class is. And it was a Michael Brown only versus Kingston Flemings. And I talked to you and said, that game against Houston, like, really showed me a lot from Darius, and we'll talk about this a little bit later on. I actually, when I was in Arkansas on my Christmas break, I actually got to watch them play against James Madison, and I saw him like warm up, his approach to the game and stuff like that. I was like tremendously impressed with his professionalism and his approach to the game. I That carried over into this game. He had 29 points, 4 assists, 3 rebounds, a steal and a block. He was 9 of 16 from the floor. He was shooting well from 3. I think he's underrated as an athlete, and because I think everything that he does looks smooth, and again, I'm not trying to be hyperbolic, like, he can get off the ground and challenge shots. He got a block in this game. I watched him have a block against James Madison where it just looks effortless. Like, everything he does looks like he's got like this aesthetically pleasing stride, but he is not a bad athlete at all. I think that he is a plus athlete. He's just kind of like one of these. The movement is just too smooth. It's too buttery. Everything he does looks easy. So it almost looks like he's not on that same level as an athlete compared to those other guys because it's not like a powerful explosion. It's just that everything just kind of builds up and the kinetic energy just allows him to do whatever he wants to do. Um, I think the shooting touch has been phenomenal this season.
Yeah.
I did not expect him to be this level of shooter. It was something that I saw in this game that I watched live that I think we all kind of need to pay a little bit. I'll speak for myself. Something that I needed to pay a little bit better attention to is when he starts a game, he looks to get everybody else going. And he looks to get the guys who are not the best shooters on the team going to see what the temperature is. Like, he'll get Knox the ball early. He'll get Trevor and Brazil the ball early. These guys to where if you can unlock their confidence in the game, it's a different game for the team. He wants to do that first. And then he'll be like, man, these guys are not they're not connecting right now. I'm just going to put the team on my back now. I'm going to get to the basket. I'm going to hit threes. I'm going to draw fouls. And it's just so impressive to see. I moved him up to my PG1 tonight,
Wow.
Metcalf. I just think that
Yeah.
he's creative like Michael,
Mhm.
right? He's got the bend lean. He can get to his spots. He does not require a screen to get a bucket, which is
No.
big for a guard, right? So he does the Michael things too. But he plays defense like Kingston. He's unselfish like Kingston. And he just watching him live and like understanding the professional approach that he has. I know he's not the biggest one of those 3, but he's powerful and he can absorb contact. And he just the mindset that he has to like, I'm gonna be the point guard. I'm gonna see where everyone's at. Okay, you guys don't have it. I'll take it from here.
Yeah, and he's if we're looking at just for me, if we're looking at just pure point guard, I think he has that title probably kind of running away at this point. And I love what you said about getting everyone else involved first, getting everyone else in their rhythm, getting them their touches early. Um, because that's what classic traditional point guards do. They run the show, they
Yep.
get everyone their shots, they've set them up in perfect position, and then they take over when needed. They have that feel, that sense of the game, of what the game needs at every single moment. And every time I watch him, he's constantly having more and more of that. Totally agree. Where you lose me a little bit is on the defense. I think he's kind of bad on that end of the floor. I don't know how much of that is
I would
just
gently push back. I know you're
no,
Doctor
that's fine.
Defense.
No,
I would gently put. I don't think he's bad. I'm not going to sit here and say he's elite. I don't think that he's bad on defense.
it just feels like it's really easy for guys to blow past him. Where it's almost it's a little similar to how Reed Shepard played defense at Kentucky, where he would stay on a guy's hip, try and use his hands to deflect stuff, but never really present much of an obstacle to get around. Um, that's at least the vibe I'm getting from most of his games. Every now and then, against Tennessee tonight, or today, I thought he was better than he has been in the past. So hopefully that's a trend in the right direction. But I also don't think it's a major issue. Like, it's not a red flag. Oh my God, this guy's undraftable issue. It's just it's his biggest area of weak or area for improvement going forward for me, at least right now, especially given how good and dynamic and consistent the shot has been, which I had zero expectations for coming into the year.
I think that's fair, and like he will be the guy on defense when he's in, especially at the next level that the offense is going to go after. I get it. I think that he fights hard over screens. I don't think that he dies on screens. And I like the defensive rotation stuff. Like he's got good
Yeah,
instincts on the defensive side to be where he needs to be. And I think too, especially like consider what we optically saw him do in today's game where his coach had to pull him out of the game because he was afraid he was going to collapse on the floor if he did not get some oxygen. Like this dude ran like to the point to where his coach was concerned for his well-being. Like and I love that like that's little like old man stuff that is just gonna like pull at my heartstrings. If you run yourself to the point of exhaustion, like you're my guy, I will go to war with a guy like that, right? I think that he plays and he'll play that hard and he'll give effort on the defensive end where I think that you'll see some of the other guards in this class who they get screen hard, they're just like, yeah, whatever, like next play. I'll get to there next time.
for sure.
But I think that he competes on that end of the floor. Another player who I wrote about this in my recap piece over at NoCeilingsNBA.com that I think that the James Madison game, even though it could have been a trap game, like James Madison was not good competition, but I felt like it was a trap game because tough non-conference play. You're at holiday break. Your first game back is against James Madison right before conference play. I feel like a lot of teams could have overlooked that matchup, and Arkansas did not. Coach Calipari and Darius Acuff being the floor general, like wanted to get people confident for this Tennessee game. And Malik Thomas dropped 28 points in that game against James Madison. Looked
Yeah.
unbelievable. 0 assists, but you know, he had 28 points. And I was like, I think the confidence was unlocked. Like I got to speak to him post game and whatever you can say, people say whatever at post game press conferences, but I truly felt like, okay, like confidence was unlocked. And it was, man. He dropped 18 tonight. He was 3 of 4 from deep. He had an assist. He had three steals in the game. And competed on the glass. And I just when Arkansas needed some tough shots, he was there and he took them. And I was impressed for this game. I don't know if this means that he's back comparatively to like where we were all, especially me, was kind of hoping for, but it was awesome to see him have the game that he did against Tennessee.
This sort of felt like a game where this is what it looks like when the shot goes in. And
Yeah.
if that's what, he just needed the confidence to unlock that, fantastic. But even just from a playmaking and passing perspective, I thought he played a little simpler. He still feels really sped up and really rushed. There are a couple shot attempts where it's like, my guy, you made one layup and now you're going for a heat check. Like, what? We got to get a
Yes.
couple of these going. It's like my time to shine.
Floor it.
But when it goes in, it looks good. My
Yeah.
concern is when it doesn't, because he's still just 3 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 turnover, 3 steals. But that type of work rate, that type of disruption on defense has been there all year. The consistency and the effectiveness of it comes and goes, but you like to see that he's at least trying, and that effort, that desire to defend, to be a good defender, hasn't wavered at all. And from a coaching perspective, that's something you can at least work with, because you'd always rather tone a guy down than rev him up. And I don't think that's really an issue with most players on Arkansas this year. But when the shots are going in for Malik, he looks really good.
Oh
And
man, it does.
the fact that they're continuing to pivot him more and more into that off-ball scorer role to simplify his responsibilities, I think is making a ton of difference, because earlier in the year they were exploring a little more. All right, now it's DJ Wagner's turn to run the show. Now it's Darius Acuff's turn. Now it's Malik Thomas's turn off the bench. And now this is Darius Acuff's show. And you guys are along for the ride. And he's going to put you in position to succeed, to get good shots. And you're going to work off of that. And they're starting to do that. And it's starting to pay dividends for Malik.
Yeah, understanding the pecking order is huge for any team, and I think that Arkansas kindly finally established the pecking order.
Yeah.
Finding that bench rotation. Coach Calipari famously keeps some dry powder on the bench. To where people can come in and help run and kind of give a boost to an offense. Like both of the Maliks coming in off the bench, it drives me crazy at times because I would like Malik Ewan to be a larger part of the team just because of what he does. But Nick Pringle as an enforcer, sometimes you need that. You know what I mean? You need that screen setter, rebounder, someone who's going to give a foul within the first 40 seconds of the game to kind of like set the tone. And
He
then
had one
Malik,
rebound today where he literally, I think he got a block, and then it bounced out to someone, and he just looked at his guy and legit just lowered his shoulder and just threw his entire body into his chest, never looking at the ball. I'm like, my guy, you are lucky. I think it may have been Dwayne Brown, where it's like, you are lucky that Brown didn't flop like that, because that was a flagrant one all the way. What are you doing?
yeah, I think Coach Cal probably talks to the refs like, "Hey guys, just to let you know, like within the first possession, Nick Pringle is going to throw an elbow. I'm just going to let you know now, so maybe we can talk this down preemptively." But Arkansas was just so much fun to watch. I want to kind of flip it over to, unless there was anyone else
No,
on Arkansas that you would want to talk about. I mean,
no.
I could talk about all these dudes all day long.
It was a quiet day for Billy Richmond. Carter Knox had some good rebounding and team defensive stuff, but he continues to just disappear take
Yeah.
take it to Tennessee.
Yeah, let's do the Nate Ament thing, because I think that I aggressively moved him down my board after this game, and he did the Nate Ament thing where in like the last 3 minutes he did like a mid post fadeaway. He had a drive where he got a shot up over the defense to where box score wise you'll look at the game and be like, well, he was 4 of 9. He got a couple rebounds. He did enough to like, hey, look at this flash from Nate Ament. There could be something here. And he's done this every single game that I've watched. And just 5 of 11 from the free throw line. So this guy who's
It's tough.
yeah, and 0 of 1 from deep. So this guy who's supposed to have the touch, like that's the thing you're supposed to be able to hang your hat on. I get that he's bigger. I get that he's stronger. Make the argument of like this new weight. He's got to learn how to shoot and all this other stuff. Billy Richmond, Billy Goat had him in hell every possession that he was defending him on. And you can say that that's just what Billy Richmond does, but you're supposed to be this lottery level talent and you got a 5-6 inch height advantage over the guy. Like maybe just do something, and he's still getting these crazy whistles. He's still getting these insane whistles where he's going to get to the free throw line. It's like this thing that is just understood about his game. He puts himself in good position for rebounds. He had some good passes tonight. So we got to do the Nate Ament thing where we still talk about the things that are intriguing about him. I'm just like at the point to where we said he's got to in conference play. It's going to happen. He's not going to get comfortable. It's going to be difficult. I don't want to bet on, if I'm an NBA team, I don't want to bet on this guy being really high on my board. Outside of the lottery, talk me into it. Maybe back half, depending on the team who I am,
Yeah.
you could talk me into it. I do not want the future of my NBA program at the feet of Nate Ament. I don't.
Yeah, I ripped that Band-Aid off too and dropped him into my 20s. It's just been rough. I don't know what he does, and that sounds horrible. I hate saying that, but I think these numbers haven't updated after today's game, and they'll probably get worse. But coming into today, I'm pretty sure he had a true shooting percentage of just 52, and that's with a free throw rate of 57.1. So he's getting to the line all the time, and his true shooting is still only 52. Effective
Unacceptable.
field goal rate of 45. That's horrible. That is absolutely horrible. And then there's no playmaking to go along with it. The defense is on a good day. Like I thought it was fine today. Early on, he had the first couple possessions of the game. He had one transition driving kick, made a really nice skip pass to the opposite corner. I think it was to Gillespie, wide open in the corner, right in the shooting pocket. Gorgeous play. I'm like, oh, this could be fun.
Yep.
Like a aggressive, decisive Nate Ament game. Love it. Like the very next possession or two possessions later, jumps a passing lane, gets his third dunk of the year, going the other way. Is like, this is a really good start, Nate. I love it. And then he disappeared until the final 5 minutes. Game's out of hand, and then beautiful mid-range turnaround. I think he drove against Billy Richmond, got him leaning one way, pivoted back, dropped it in. It's like, that's great, but he just disappears. He can't create anything for himself. He's not creating for others. I don't know if it's the setting. I don't know if it's the situation. It doesn't feel like they're asking him to do too much. It doesn't feel like they're asking him to go out there and be Kevin Durant, and they're using him in more of that off-ball role, but there just don't ever seem to be any advantages that get created when he has the ball in his hands.
And it looked like he was dribbling more. I don't know if you caught on to that too. It looked like he was trying to do more with the ball in his hand today. And I was very encouraged to see that because he just looked like he was uncomfortable dribbling through so much of the season. And it didn't really amount to anything. Like he wasn't even the best freshman on his team today. Amari Evans coming off the bench. I was like, oh my gosh, is there something here to this guy? Like, do we need to maybe look at him as a potential guy? I don't want to do this for a crazy amount of time. I'm just prove it to me. Just
Yeah.
prove it to me. I'm done talking about what could be with him. Just show me. That would
Yeah.
be cool.
And if he does, more than happy to buy back in, but
Absolutely.
got to go off of what I've seen. And I didn't love the high school stuff coming in. I really haven't liked the Tennessee stuff, unfortunately. Just hasn't been great.
Maybe transfer to Baylor and pop off for 23 points per game or whatever.
Well,
Cam
he should
Carr
just
is
go
doing.
overseas, get some training over there for like 6 years and then come back.
Yeah, maybe. I
Apparently
mean,
that's how it works now.
bring in enter the draft, play in the G League, and we can. Do you want to have this discussion
No,
again?
no, I don't.
Okay.
I
Okay.
really, really don't.
Okay.
And another discussion that I'm not super pumped to have, Darren Peterson came back to basketball. He returned for Kansas until he didn't.
What a jerk.
It's a
What
shame.
an absolute jerk.
So Kansas loses today 81-75 against UCF. Darren Peterson returned until he didn't. 23 minutes, 26 points, 17 shots, went 8 of 17 from the floor, 5 of 10 from 3, 5 of 6 from the line, 6 rebounds, 1 assist, 3 turnovers, 2 blocks. Very clearly the best player on the court when he was out there for me.
Very clearly the best player in this class when he was on the court today. And he was playing the same time as AJ Debasa. And Metcalf, I'm at the point to where it's a two-man race now. This is not to besmirch Cam Boozer. I just think that he's not going to be the number one guy for me. Okay, I understand if winning is a skill. I get it. I get the accolades. I get the ability to read the floor. I understand all the things that he does. That's why I still like him. He's not going to be the number one guy for me. Today, coming into this day, I had AJ Debasa 1, and I was ready to have him as
your board is a roller coaster week by week.
it is. I mean, final assignments are not
I
due
love
for
it.
another couple months. And AJ DeBansa still, he had a good game today. We'll
Yeah.
talk about that a little bit. I came into today looking at AJ DeBansa as the number 1 guy, and Darren Peterson, again, coming off injury like some freaking jerk who only cares about the team and the fans. Like, I'll never understand why anyone would wanna continue to play basketball and make people happy. Um, when he was in, dude, it was lights. Like, the shooting was there. He was doing no dip. He was doing mid-range stuff. He was attacking the basket. He was passing. He was rebounding. He had a behind the, closing, like a closeout block that he had. That was called a foul, but you still love to see the
Mhm.
competition. Him jumping that high, coming in off of, that's kind of lingering hamstring issue. It's like, I it's a hard conversation, dude. Like, I don't know how people have a definitive number 1 unbiasedly, because these 2 are just phenomenal, and he came out of the game, there's a lot of people who are out there on the internet who I hope I never meet, but they're saying, that the loss is on him. I think this is a coaching staff issue because apparently he was on a minutes restriction and they said, "Can you just play all of those minutes in the first half and we're not going to play it all in the second half?" That was frustrating to see. I think I saw a tweet where he's played like 102 minutes and scored 167 points or something like
It's
that. I think I
insane.
saw Jonathan Wasserman tweet that out. If I'm off by a couple digits, I'm sorry. He was phenomenal. He's just, I don't know who to have number 1 on my board, Metcalf, and I wanna have a definitive answer. This is a great problem to have. I every time I watch these dudes on a heater, it's like, God, like, you are the guy, you know?
Yeah, I'm gonna be a little harsher. Here, Kansas fans need to sell the fuck down because the
Here, here.
shit that I'm seeing from them all day is insane. How you can compare this dude to Ben Simmons is beyond me. Because Ben Simmons was shut it down. And you're saying this dude doesn't care about basketball. He doesn't want to be out there. Then why does he keep going back out there? He could shut it down and be the number 1 pick. He could have shut it down a month or 3 weeks ago and been the number 1 pick. He could have shut it down a month and a half ago and been the number 1 pick. I don't understand the rage towards Darren Peterson because the guy's trying to play. Kansas is so much better when he's on the court for them. Their offense
His
flows at a
supporting
different
cast
rate.
sucks.
It's bad. It's a poorly constructed team. Melvin Council is doing what he can, but the rest, like no one else on that team, can create anything on offense, and they're just so much better when he's out there for them on both ends of the floor. I've seen stuff like, oh, he's made of glass. The guy pulled his hamstring and now has cramping issues. Bill Self after the game, and now of course the fan base is calling Bill Self a liar because how dare he? Bill Self said after the game that they had him going into the game. They had him on a minutes restriction around 20, aiming for like 24 minutes, and he used up 20 of those in the first half. And
He scored 20 points.
and Self
First
said
half.
he's like, well, had to try and keep us in the game because he was the only one who was doing stuff out there. And then Self tried to force it and keep him out there in the second half. Again, these are all Self's words. I'm not putting words in his mouth. And then Peterson's legs started tightening up again. So I don't know what the fix is here, but Kansas fans need to get out of their feelings and get over themselves because to call this dude soft or that he doesn't care or that he's not competitive or the weirdos who are like, oh, if I was an NBA team, I wouldn't waste a pick on this guy because he's going to be hurt all the time. What are you talking about? Show me any player who has had their career derailed by cramping issues and a hamstring injury in college. It doesn't
I
happen.
don't look at Steph Curry, perpetual ankle issues, that was gonna be his, Achilles heel. That's an appropriate kind of, analogy there. Um, and Steph turned out to be the greatest shooter of all time, right? Like, and that's a completely separate injury, especially ailing recurring injuries. That's not what's going on here.
No.
This guy wants to play. Again, he could shut it down and we would not see him again. He could Darius Garland this thing.
Yeah.
Well, that's a different one because that was an Achilles injury, right? But He could shut this whole thing down if he wanted to, and we would never see him again. And we've seen it time and time again in the draft where the mystery prospect, the guy with the small or no sample size, we've already seen these other guys, we have them figured out, but this alluring prospect who had crazy hype, number one prospect hype coming into the season, small sample size, looked great. He could have shut it down,
Yeah.
mailed it in, and still been the number one pick in this year's draft. He wants to play. And that's something that if I'm an NBA team, that's only going to make me want to draft him even more.
Yeah.
Like I would much rather deal with that as opposed to the Ben Simmons comparison, who I know that the reporting on this has been spotty, but he's trying to be a professional fisher right now,
Mhm.
right? And it's not that he doesn't want to play in the that's a whole separate conversation. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. Kansas fans, listen, you have a guy who is potentially going to be a fantastic, like great NBA player, be an alumni at your school, which is going to help your school recruit more of these guys like they already have, because Darren Peterson is actively trying to recruit people to come to Kansas for your team right now. So like chill out with the hate, the maybe yell at the supporting cast. I'm not gonna list the names here on the show. If you want to, Metcalf, we can. I'm gonna try to not to though. But the other perimeter options, especially the perimeter freshmen who came in with a lot of hype surrounding their name,
Yeah.
who haven't done anything for your team, like maybe be mad at those guys a little bit more than the guy who's probably still who could be drafted number one in this class and still do more for your school after his playing days are over than you're thinking about right now in your selfish little heads.
Yeah, or even just the coaching staff for constructing this roster, and because I don't think it's any of these guys' fault. It's
Right.
a crappy situation. It's an annoying situation. I wish Darren Peterson was healthy and out there playing, because that's what the team was constructed to go around, and it's just been the worst luck possible. Um, Melvin Council had a nice game, 20 points, 8 of 11 shooting. I don't know.
Congrats to UCF,
That
by the way.
Yeah, it's a good win.
Awesome win. Yeah, I mean, Jamichael Stillwell, his box score does not do his performance justice. Um, Shout out to Jeremy Fuena, who had a good couple of points too, who I liked back when he played at Rhode Island. And Riley Kugel, Metcalf, is he
No, don't do it again.
potentially?
Don't
Okay,
don't.
okay. Sorry.
Um,
Good game for him though.
I also need whoever taught John Bull how to shoot free throws to find a new career, because whatever that was, that's not it. That
He's got the Kevin Duckworth free throw routine on
it
2K turned on for his free throw shot.
and it does not work. Okay, let's jump over another one of the top prospects in this draft, AJ Devonta, against Kansas State. BYU wins by 10, 83-73. AJ went off for 24 points, 8 of 15 shooting, 7 of 10 from the line. Didn't reflect how many times he actually got fouled. 8 rebounds, 3 assists, 7 turnovers, 3 steals. If you're just looking at the box score, just listening to the numbers, sounds like it was a gross game. I don't think those properly reflect how AJ actually played. I would say at least 4 or 5 of those turnovers, he got absolutely hammered on. No whistle, one of the most unfriendly whistles in a 10 free throw game that you'll ever see. Probably one of the most unfriendly whistles that he's ever had in his basketball career. But I thought his general process of finding open teammates, using his scoring gravity to create for others, and that playmaking and passing growth that we've seen from him this last month or so, I thought it was still on display, even though the numbers say what they say.
Yeah, if Nate Ament would have played in this game, we probably would have saw a 30 free throw performance where he connected on 12 of those, right? AJ looked awesome. I'm going to put you on the spot here,
Mhm.
Metcalf, because I'm not smart enough to know, or nor am I prepared enough. But how many 20-point games in a row is this for AJ? Did you happen to see like those social media things
One, two,
pop
three,
up?
four, five, six, 7.
7 20-point games in a row.
He scored
And,
at least 17 in every game this year.
and I don't think any of those games were less than 2 assists, if memory serves me correct, and maybe a couple, but the assists have climbed incrementally over the course of the season. And the fact that he is passing the ball, the fact that he is handling the ball, that he's scoring, he's still getting to the free throw line, even though that number could easily have been doubled. I'm still up there. It was a shame that it happened in the same day as Darren Peterson, even though he got hurt, just went nuclear. Kind of like on a point per minute basis. I think that what we saw from Darren was the most impressive thing today. But AJ, in a what we always like to talk about, or what some of us kind of like perpetuate out, is like, if this is a bad game, this is a fantastic bad game to have
Mhm.
from like one of the best players in the class. Rebounded the ball well, forced defensive events. I'm listening to a bunch of smart people who I genuinely do respect in the draft space, kind of like give me more things to think about. And one of the things about AJ was like the defensive events that he forces, not like at a superstar level.
Yeah,
3 steals today, like, I think
it
that does a
helps.
lot, that helps him, kind of like win those kind of more analytically, uh, tilted evaluators out there, right? So, I think that we're seeing a lot of good things from AJ. I'm encouraged, and again, it makes this draft class so difficult to kinda, like, sift through and figure out, because 24, 8, 3, and 3 being a bad game, going back to the conversations we were having at the beginning of the year with Cam Boozer and his quote unquote bad games, it's hard to sift through all these guys, brother.
Yeah, they're making it really fun for us. Um, I I still thought the off ball defense, and there's a lot of ball watching that he has to get out
Yeah,
of his system, um, which can be excused a little bit if you're getting 3 steals a game like he did in this one. Again, I believe this hasn't updated yet, but coming into today, steal rate of 2.7 is okay. You'd either like that to be over 3 or the block rate of 1.5 to be up around like 2, 2.5 instead. If you can
sure.
get those up around both above 2.5, then I think we're getting a little more excited with his defense, because I thought his defense was arguably the one of the best parts of his game in high school, specifically the on ball stuff. His senior year and FIBA over the summer, he was a madman as an on-ball defender, and I feel like we quite haven't seen that level of tenaciousness from him. Um, he's not necessarily being asked to do that because he has to create so much on the offensive end, given how the rest of that team is playing on offense right now. Which, by the way, if you told me Richie Saunders was shooting 40% from three this year, I would spit in your face and call you a liar. Because every game I watch of him, he goes like he did today, 3 of 11 from 3,
Is
and
he
it feels,
40%?
yeah, on the year.
There's
Well,
no
that
way.
I think this is before today, but yeah, coming into today, 40.5%.
Just like you, dude, like, that does not match the eye test. That just doesn't.
It feels like every time that AJ kicks out to him wide open in the corner, it doesn't fall, and it drives me insane. But yeah,
I I I was just talking about this with the Arkansas game, where it feels like the Razorbacks kinda feel like they figured out, like, the perfect, kind of pecking order for the team. And there's reasons for this,
mhm,
shout out to Abdullah, Ahmed coming in off the bench for 12 minutes, but it doesn't feel like BYU has figured out their pecking order yet. It
yeah,
doesn't feel like they go into a game understanding who's gonna be the person that tries to get everybody else involved and then takes the game on their back, just like we were talking about with Darius. AJ has done a much better job of getting everybody else kind of involved. It feels like he's kinda doing what Rob Wright should be doing, and if there's anybody on this team who I've been disappointed in the most,
yeah,
it's gonna be Rob Wright. And if you look at the box score, you're gonna be like, "Steven, you're tripping." There's just so many possessions where I just feel like he is not the guy that we kind of hoped and were sold that he was gonna be on this team. He just doesn't feel steady enough. He doesn't feel consistent enough at that position. And I feel like AJ is kinda having to dip more into that role, which is doing wonders for his
mhm,
draft stock. But if you look
yeah.
at BYU and their progress and, like, what their record should be, kind of what it is, I just feel like BYU hasn't figured out its identity yet, and you can't really lay that at the foot of AJ because he's gotten better as the season's gone on.
It's almost. the opposite of what we were talking about earlier with Acuff and how he just has this sense for the moment, what the moment needs, what every possession needs, how to get guys involved, how to get guys in rhythm, who needs a touch and win. I don't get that from Wright.
No.
And he's super fun getting downhill, and some of the flashy playmaking is awesome, but it never feels to come naturally or when it's needed necessarily. Um, Real quick on the Kansas State side, PJ Haggerty had a heck of a game. 24
Awesome game.
points, 8 of 16 shooting, 8 of 10 from the line, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, 3 turnovers, 4 steals. Just a really fun, shifty, explosive college guard. I'm not totally sure there's an NBA upside there. I think he might just be too small, and not
It's
a
like
good
Caleb Love almost,
and not a good
like
enough
in this
outside
class.
shooter. Like he's probably going to be a really good pro overseas and make a lot of money overseas. Which again is not an insult, not a slight. And then Abdi Bashir, I thought looked pretty encouraging as like an off-ball shooter. I really liked how he moved without the ball. Not a whole lot there on ball, but kick and shoot.
Yeah, I mean, shout out to Kansas State for making it a rock fight for a long time, right? And to the Haggerty point, this is not the class of like this is not the draft class that if you're hoping to like make that latch dish effort
Yeah,
to draw the eyes of NBA teams, like this was just not the class for you, man. Like I think that he could be a Portsmouth guy, and I would love to watch him in that setting. If not a G League invite, he could very well get that as well. I just I he would have to do so much, in my opinion, Metcalf, to be considered like in that legit like top 40 range, in my opinion.
oh yeah,
Like after 40, I am so up in the air. Like you could tell me he's 41 and I'd be like, yeah, sure, I could see that happening, but he's gonna have to do a lot to kind of capture the imagination of NBA teams because there's people like mutual player we both admire, Shane Montgomery, is now like
yeah.
getting people from
Speaking of top
Draft
40.
Express coming in and evaluating his games now. So
Welcome to the party, folks.
yeah.
I is last thing on Haggerty. He kind of reminds me of Kendrick Davis from a couple
Oh,
years
that's a good
ago,
one. Yeah, yeah.
and Davis has been playing some really good ball. I believe he's with Sydney, but he's been playing some really good ball in the NBL, and that you can make a lot of money and have a really good career overseas. Okay, let's bounce around to rest of what we saw today, earlier this week. I'll give you the floor with whatever you want to start with.
Yeah, I watched a few minutes while I was waiting for the Illinois game tonight, where I watched some Duke and your guy Isaiah Evans had his bounce
Welcome
back
back.
game.
God, he
Yeah,
needed it.
28, 6 of 14 from deep. That's stupid, and 6 of 6 from the free throw line. So
Love that.
you're getting the perfect balance, right? Where he's getting to the 3-point line, he's still drawing the contact that we've all liked. Cam Boozer, in the couple minutes that I watched, was okay. Like he got to the free throw line, he's drawing contact. Stuff that if I'm gonna watch 4 minutes of a Cam Boozer game, I saw what I would expect to see.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it was pretty impressive. And I just want to give a shout out to Robert McRae, the pride of Jacksonville University, go Dolphins.
He's been fun.
22 points, 5 assists, 2 blocks, 2 steals. He just looks so good, dude. He looks steady. He could be one of these guys to where it's probably not going to be like PJ Haggerty, but maybe he's in that like Colin Boswell conversation where third guard, why not give him a look because he can play on both sides of the ball. He's got good size. He's strong as all get out, and he
Yeah.
sees the floor well and can shoot sometimes. Like I would not be blown away if we see him on an NBA team.
What did his turnovers look like today? Because I've really loved what he's done this year, but he's been getting real sloppy with the ball recently.
Yeah, he had 5 turnovers to
Yeah.
5
That's tough.
assists. So, yeah, I mean, if you think like it's obviously not good. I'm not going to sit here and make a case for why 5 turnovers is good, but going up against Duke, going up against a team of that size, being in the ACC after playing, in the CSUN last year,
Yeah.
you're gonna see those types of turnovers from him. He's been a lot of fun to watch, man.
No,
And
for sure,
then
and he's a guy that I have in, I think my top 70 right now is so that tier that goes from, like you said earlier, 45 to 80, where it's
to
like
infinity. Yeah.
anything can happen here. Um, did you have anything else on that game? Sorry.
Not that game. Do you want to go or do you
Yeah,
want me
sure.
to
We
do
we
the
we can alternate here.
Okay, cool.
So only other game I got to catch in full today was Virginia versus North Carolina State. Um, Matt
How's your guy
Abel,
Quadir?
funky, weird. His footwork and craft and creativity getting downhill and playmaking and creating for others out of drives is so much fun. He takes some absurd shots. Sometimes they go in, sometimes they don't. I think the shooting we're starting to see tail off a little bit from like outside. Matt Abel just struggling.
Yeah.
Continues to look like it might not be a this year thing. Paul McNeil really like the off ball stuff. Really don't like the on ball stuff. Darian Williams, I don't know what you're doing. Um, but then
Easy.
on
Coach is gonna come after you. Be
sorry,
careful.
I don't know what you're doing besides contributing to winning. There, is that better? I think that was
It's
his.
not up to me. You don't have to worry about me coming after you.
And then want to give a quick shout to Johan Grunlow. Didn't put up
Mm,
big numbers today, but I've been really enjoying just the little things he's doing on the court out there. I think defensively, from a positioning and fundamental standpoint, he's really good with verticality, um, legit rim protection stuff there, legit floor spacing stuff there. He just has to get so much stronger and so much tougher because he gets bullied on the boards way too frequently for someone that big. But enjoying the flashes and some of the stretches of play from him.
yeah, I like him, man. I have him in my top 60, and I liked him a lot last year in, playing international ball. I think he's interesting. I don't think he's a perfect player, obviously, based on
Yeah.
my rankings, but he's very interesting. The last game, and I just want to kind of share this with the fans, get a little emotional here. If you could bear with me there, Metcalf. As someone, so I'll rewind. Before Christmas, I talked to people about this, but I asked my beautiful wife, like, hey, are you okay if I bring some podcasting equipment or at least maybe a laptop to where I can work on some articles? And my lovely wife looked at me, smiled and looked at me with those big, beautiful blue eyes and said no. So I quite love her and enjoyed being married to her. So
It's like,
I obliged.
yes, dear.
Yeah, yes, ma'am. Okay, that was stupid. The kids wanted me to. I didn't even wanna ask, but the kids wanted me to bring it. But,
Sorry for trying
you
to be a
know
good dad. God.
yeah, I was trying to make them happy. And I be honest with you, I'm glad that I didn't
Yeah.
because I was more present and all those things, right? But while I was in Arkansas, little bit of selfishness came over me. I looked on my phone, it's like, "Hey, do the Arkansas Razorbacks play while I'm up here in Northwest Arkansas?" Like, I was an hour away from their stadium. And I looked and saw that they were playing against James Madison on the 29th. I bought a ticket and I shot a message over to the communications director for Arkansas. It's like, hey, no ceilings, would love to cover the game, stuff like that. I'm from Arkansas. And they were able to accommodate me being able to go. And so I was able to cover the game for no ceilings. Being from Arkansas, this was the first time, Metcalf, that I'd been in Bud Walton since I was like 10. I'll let people do the math on that. Um, and this was the first time that I've been home in like 5 years, and, my dad was actually able to go with me too, which meant a lot, and I was able to, like, watch this team. I was able to get down on the court, take pictures with my dad, watching me, like, do the whole media thing. That was, like, very cool for me, just for my dad to be able to see me do that stuff. After the game, I get to ask questions to Malik Thomas, who blew up for 28 points. Like, I couldn't be happier for him to have that performance while I was in attendance, right? So I got to talk to him and DJ. And then bucket list thing, Coach Calipari, like one of the greatest head coaches of all time, Hall of Famer. As an Arkansas Razorback fan, a basketball fan, a member of No Ceilings, and my dad being there, like being able to like interact with Coach Calipari was just like a bucket list thing. So, like, I could break down the game. I just want to say that I love the No Ceilings universe because it's because of them that I was able to do that. And my recap is over at NoCeilingsNBA.com, but I wanted to just share that I appreciate the fans that we have who have helped us get over 20,000
Yeah.
over here on YouTube now. So shout out to you guys. It's just cool that I got to do that. And I just wanted to thank the No Ceilings universe for being able to make that happen.
Well, God, you get me all choked up and teary eyed over here. My goodness, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
Getting all emotional on a Saturday. No, that's beautiful. I love that you were able to do that. For on one hand, just attending and scouting games live is the best, but then being
That's
able to
awesome.
do it back home, it's really special. So I'm thrilled that you were able to do that. I don't know how to transition out of that, so I'm
Yeah.
going to need you to
Awkward
pick another
transition.
game.
No, that was it, man. And I saved that for the last thing, so we could probably awkwardly transition out of this episode. But yeah, that's where we're at.
All right. Well, I'm going to be selfish here and ruin all of this because I do
Perfect.
want to talk about Michigan real quick. Um, they're a wagon. They're incredible. And Morez Johnson deserves way more love and attention and praise than he is getting.
I wanna be there because I did watch the game. He was fantastic. I don't know what to do with a pro projection for him. He did hit the three. I he plays so daggum hard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like and he's big and he rebounds and he defends. He hit the three. Like he can. Dusty May is coaching his tail off with that team, and I don't like. Please, like Metcalf, what's the pro projection for Morez?
What is it for Jaden Quaintance? Because I don't think they're all that dissimilar. And at this point, I think Morez moves just about as well. I don't think he's quite as an insane defender as Quaintance, but I don't think it's that far off. Like when you watch Morez on defense, he is constantly flowing between different perimeter assignments and rotating as a weak side shot blocker and playing drop coverage and playing at the level and actually sitting down in a defensive stance. And his numbers and scoring efficiency are off the charts this year, and they're not all that different from what they were in a completely different context from last year at Illinois. So he's just replicating and improving and growing. After I saw him in person last year, No Ceilings Plus subscribers will remember this from my game recap, but I was like, man, after watching him in warmups, I'm like, he's going to shoot it. Like, not to a Carl Anthony Towns level of shooting it, but low volume effectiveness. I think so, because he was actually going through stuff, full speed movement stuff, and just draining it left and right. We're slowly starting to see it creep into his game this year at Michigan, but from a rebounding perspective, a quick decision making perspective, interior finishing, and defense, and he's just a monster. And I constantly see him on nobody's boards. I have him at 14. I'm way too high on him.
Wow.
But and he moves like a pro. He has pro strength. He has a pro motor. He plays within himself. He doesn't force stuff, and he's becoming more composed as an interior finisher. I think he's just a really low maintenance big who can provide a ton of value right away.
I think that I could pull. I think I would want to pull this conversation in a bunch of different ways, just to kind of help me out, like comparing him against Zuby. You know what I mean? Like they're two different types of
Mhm.
players, but I think they both present like unique challenges to like how they fit in a pro system for different reasons, right? Like I think the Morez is like the size at the position that I would be a little bit more worried about, but he looks like he has the plus wingspan. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think he makes up for a lot of that, like with his strength, with his explosiveness. Um, Obviously, being able to play alongside a 7'4" guy helps
Yeah,
some
that helps you
helps some
out a
of that.
lot, right? And you're
Uh,
playing next to the Axel too a lot of times, so
right, but he's kind of pivoted down to being a three, and the team's a lot of fun to watch.
they
And
are.
I know a lot of the counters to my infatuation with Morez is going to be, oh, well, he's in a perfect setting. It's like, yeah, he
I
kind of
don't care
is,
about that.
but his numbers are almost identical to last year. So was he also in a perfect setting last year? And like, he was in a really good setting with Illinois. I'm
Yeah.
not saying Illinois is a bad team or anything. He was in a great setting there, but to replicate that while changing positions, while changing teams, while changing locations and context and coaches and all that kind of stuff. And then also looking back at FIBA over the summer with Team USA, it's like, oh, it's all there as well. I don't know. I fully acknowledge that I'm probably too high on him at 14.
I love that you are. It
But
makes me wanna go back and watch.
I selfishly think everyone else is way too low because I don't even see him anywhere else.
Yeah, I mean, I have him in my second round, but, like, I guess I have a cowardice approach to just size and
No.
translatability. That's what I just think that's my biggest question because I love the motor and like the stuff that you like is the reason why I have him like in my top 60. But in the first round territory, I would have to go back and give him a whole nother dedicated look. And you made the argument that he's in the perfect situation. I don't know. I think that before the season, you could have made the
Yeah.
argument that like he shouldn't work on the supposed floor spacing that this team is going to have with the playing time that he's going to have with Ade and Yaxel all of a sudden just deciding to be a 42% 3-point shooter for the first time in his basketball career. Like you should this was the team wasn't supposed to look this way, but it does. And so you do have to lay some of that credit at the feet of Morez. So I I feel like I have to go back and look at him now because people are saying that he should be a first round guy. I want to look at the film with the thought process. Okay, like how can this guy be a first round guy and kind of see what I come out like on the other side of that kind of study.
All right. That's all I got after I rudely derailed and interrupted and watered down your beautiful story. So do you have
Recap.
do
I
you have
love the no
another
ceilings. Yeah.
do you have another heart wrencher to hit us with? You're chock full of them, correct?
I mean, I wear my heart on my chest here. Bret Hart, best there is, best there was, best there ever will be. I still get compliments like everywhere I go when I wear this jacket because it is pretty kick ass. But no, I do want to say that I think Ade Mara is the best quarterback in the state of Michigan. I don't know if you agree with that or not.
Oh, easy. I will
Yeah.
not. I will not take this Bryce Underwood slander. Um, but he might be more mobile than Jared Goff. God, what a disaster
Yeah.
of a season. But
Happy to
that's not
get
why
rid of
people are
him.
here. All right. I think that's a good place to wrap. Steven,
Probably.
thanks for taking the time. Bless as always. Shout out to the
Yeah.
chat. Shout out to the numbers that just kind of keep growing every single week. You guys are the best. We should be back next week.
I'm
Schedule of
doing them.
life events permitting.
Yeah.
Yeah, plug tomorrow.
Yeah, so tomorrow, Sunday evening, 8 p.m. Eastern, Jam and I will be back doing our show for the first time since holiday break. And what do you do when you don't have a plan, Metcalf? When you got to do a show but you don't really have a plan, you do a mock draft.
Yeah, it's
That's
the
what we're
best.
going to be doing. So, Jam and I will be doing a mock draft. We're going to be opening the show talking a little bit about why I feel like the basketball community does draft class comparisons kind of incorrectly. So
Ooh.
I'll leave that little bit of a teaser there. That's not going to be a big segment, just a couple minutes, and then we'll go through the process of picking for 30 spots for however many teams it is. So
Well,
yeah,
everyone make sure to check that out. NoCeilingsNBA.com. And just an insane amount of content from the team at large. No Ceilings YouTube. We just hit 20,000. You guys are incredible. On to 30. Let's go. We're not stopping. Yeah, that's all we got. He is Stephen Gillespie at Stephen G. Hoops. I'm Tyler Metcalf at Team Metcalf 11. All of our stuff, NoCeilingsNBA.com, No Ceilings on Twitter, all that good stuff. You'll find it. But until next time, see ya.